Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to address a question I get asked all the time, and that is, Lisa, how do I keep my foundation from moving and settling in my fine lines and wrinkles? I hear this question all the time, so I thought I'd make a video dedicated to 5 reasons why your foundation may be settling in your fine lines and wrinkles. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lisa, and I am a former makeup artist and a former MAC Cosmetics trainer. I say that because I really love teaching makeup, and I love teaching it in easy, practical ways that you can implement into your everyday makeup routine, whether you wear a full face of glam every day or you like to keep things very light. I really try and cater to all. So let's go ahead and get started on why your foundation might be settling in your fine lines and wrinkles. So reason number 1, you are not properly prepping your skin. Now that's a pretty general and broad statement, so let me talk about a few things you might be doing that are gonna work against you. So maybe you are applying too many heavy skincare products in the morning. When you're applying skincare just before makeup, it's really important to choose skincare products that really play well with makeup, absorb into the skin quickly, don't sit on the top of the skin for too long, because when you go and apply makeup, it's really not allowing that makeup to really adhere to the skin, and it's creating a barrier which then will cause your foundation to move or migrate and settle in fine lines and wrinkles. Now, if you're someone that loves rich, creamy emollient products or heavier skincare products, don't worry. Just allow a little bit more time when you apply your skincare before doing your makeup. So don't apply your skincare and then immediately go into apply your makeup. Give your skin time to drink up all those products. So when you go in to apply your makeup, your skin has a nice supple feel to it, but it doesn't feel like there's heavy products still sitting on the surface of the skin. One more thing about prepping your skin is if you're not using a primer can really help. The best primer, I think, is a gripping primer, something that's really gonna grip onto that makeup. And the whole purpose of that primer is to keep your makeup from moving. I personally love the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. This is my second bottle of it. I really like it. It has a little bit of a sticky or tacky texture and touch to it. So that might be something that you don't really love. Personally, it doesn't bother me. Just try to avoid applying too much of this. A little bit and just in the areas you need it. I will apply it where I tend to have product migrate or move is right here in these smile lines, particularly right here, and then also around my nose. I will also have some settle in fine lines around my eyes, but concentrate on those areas and just have a gentle touch with your fingers when you apply that. Reason number 2, why your foundation might be settling in your fine lines and wrinkles, it is you are using the wrong foundation formula. Now, this is going to be different for everybody. What works for me might not work for you, so take my recommendations with a grain of salt. My skin is pretty normal. It dries out in the winter. It's starting to get drier as I get older. I'm about to be 40 years old, so my skin has changed a lot over the last couple of years. It used to be normal oily T-zone, and now it's more kind of dry. So my foundation preferences have changed, but a general rule of thumb is look for a foundation that is lightweight. Avoid products that are really heavy or thick in consistency, right? Use something that's lighter weight, and use something that has like a natural finish. And the reason why you might want to avoid really dry or really matte foundations is because a lot of really matte foundations can tend to look drier on the skin. And if you were dealing with a lot of texture, fine lines, wrinkles, that can magnify that texture because it'll make your skin look a little bit more dry, emphasizing those. And my guess is that you don't want to emphasize those. So that's why, generally speaking, matte foundations might not be the best option. And when it comes to really dewy, glowy foundations, those might be an issue too, because those might stay pretty creamy or emollient or like wet on the skin. They also have pearlescent pigments. They just tend to magnify texture, which can also, like I said, magnify fine lines and wrinkles, but also they don't necessarily always set as well as more natural light finish foundations. And when it doesn't set, that's when you run into an issue of it moving or migrating. Natural foundations finishes are kind of like a hybrid between the two. You don't get a really matte finish and you don't really get a dewy glow, but you get somewhere in between. And that's going to really be your best bet, generally speaking. Again, this is going to vary from person to person, but this would be my general advice when I create a video that maybe 15,000 people see. That's my general advice. Number 3, you're using too much foundation. I think this is probably the most common mistake that we make. I see a lot of videos where I see people like kind of squirt the foundation on their face and then go out and blend it out. And I know that makes for a great video and it makes for a great cut and editing and content. It looks visually appealing to watch, but most of the time I see those videos, it is like way too much product. So I would avoid doing that. Also, I see people put a lot of foundation all over their face and then go and blend with the brush. I come from the thought of really use as much as you need and nothing more. When you have too much product on the face, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. With too much product, it's definitely going to move and migrate throughout the day, and that's gonna, you can solve your problem, I would say 8 out of 10 times with just that one tip. I personally love to squeeze foundation on the back of my hand, and then I like to go in with my brush. I'm using the BK Beauty 106. It's my kind of go-to foundation brush. By the way, we're having our Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. I'm gonna give a little plug right now because you can save 20 to 35% off BK Beauty right now, site-wide, on all of our brushes, all of our bundles. There's no code needed at all. The discount will apply to checkout. So wanted to give that little plug. That is for everything, including our newly launched core extension line, 9-piece. So great deal happening now through Cyber Monday. Okay, back to the video. So what I like to do is squirt a little bit on my hand. I'll go in with my brush and pick up a little bit. Then I will go to my face to apply it, and I will work that completely into the skin, and then I will go back and get more, and I'll work in sections. So rather than having a lot of foundation sitting on my skin waiting until I get to it to blend it out, I'm really blending as I go. That's going to help you apply less product, but it's also going to keep your foundation like from drying in an area before you get a chance to blend it out and then running into an issue of having like a patchy blend because part of it had already dried. Also, one last thing to touch on that, when you go and apply foundation all over the face, a lot of times we're just kind of going on default. We're just putting it everywhere. And most of the time we don't really need it everywhere. We can start here, and what we apply here will work and blend its way to cover the whole side of this face. But we don't know that when we go in already and apply it. We don't know actually how much coverage we could have gotten. So I'm all from the school of build little bitty layers. It might take a little bit more time, but your results will be so much better. Number 4, your application might be wrong. Now, hear me out. Application and tools are so important. I'm gonna kind of loop this in together because your tools are so important, you guys. Tools are so important. I find that when you press product into the skin like this, do little bouncing motions or buff in little circles, that is keeping your brush to the skin and buffing in little circles, you're going to get a better application than if you were to take, and I don't even own one of these brushes anymore because I got rid of them all, but I'm thinking of like, I'm thinking of Max, I think it was the 190 brush. It looked like a paintbrush. This is how foundation brushes used to look back in the day 20 years ago. They looked like paintbrushes and they were flat. I remember taking those and just like painting, like I was painting a wall on the face. That is not going to really work the product into the skin. That's really going to keep the product laying on top of the skin, which yes, you're going to have makeups on top of the skin. I get that, but you really want to buff it into the skin. That's going to really help you blend it like flawlessly, have an airbrushed finish and avoid it settling. When you go and you put streaks on your face or you do streak motions, you will likely not really work that product and it's likely going to move and migrate. So application and tools are everything. All of our BK Beauty brushes were designed to really be able to press and buff and work it into the skin. As being a former makeup artist, that was really important to me in the design of these brushes, is to create brushes that I would use as a pro makeup artist, but that were also easy and straightforward enough for anyone to use. Just a little key, my favorite is the 106 brush. Our best selling is the 101 brush, you guys know that. And even with the 101, you can do the same motion. I'm gonna show you this. The 101 is great because you can use it to press as well, just like you can with the 106, but it does have longer fibers here. So if you want to sweep and blend and shear out, you can do that as well with the tip of the brush. I've got one more tip on that, number 4, which is application wrong. One extra thing you can do is take a damp beauty sponge after you've applied your foundation, just a damp sponge, and lightly press over those areas where you tend to have product settle. So for me, like it's right here. So I'll take a damp beauty sponge and I can just lightly press. I don't need to press really hard, but I need to put enough pressure to where what I'm doing is I'm absorbing any excess product that might be there. I'm really just going that extra step to make sure that I didn't apply too much product that is just sitting there that will later in a couple hours start to crease and look obvious. And number 5, the last tip I have, or the reason why your foundation might be settling in your pores, is not properly setting. Now, I pretty much would set powder on, like if I were still doing makeup for clients, I would set everyone with powder, even people with dry skin. The Key is choosing the right powder, the right tool to apply it, and the right amount. I'm gonna go back to my rule of less is more here. You really don't need a whole lot of setting powder. My favorite tools to use to set the face with light translucent powder is our BK Beauty 108. I have that guy right here. It is a tapered, like precise little face powder brush, and I'll just use this. And again, I'll press. You'll notice I'll press when I'm setting with powder. I won't necessarily sweep. I'll just kind of press, and I'll set underneath the eyes as well. I also love to use like the 110. This is a dense concealer brush. This is part of our new extension, and it's going to pick up more product and apply more product. So you want to make sure you're using a very light translucent powder. Some of my favorites, I mean, today I used the e.l.f. Halo Glow. This is a really nice one. I love the Danessa Myricks translucent powder. That's really lightweight. You just want to make sure the powder is really, really lightweight. And then also you can take a damp beauty sponge if you want. When you do this, what's key is the sponge is going to pick up a lot of product. If you go into a powder, it's going to pick up a lot of product. You don't want all that product. So what you can do is take the back of your hand and kind of blot it off first. Look at all of that product I got off. Then you can go in and press and set in those areas with the smallest amount of powder. Again, it just basically comes down to the more layers and the thicker those layers are, the more chance you have of that makeup settling in fine lines. So you can use a lot of layers and a lot of products, but just keep those layers really light as possible. So those are 5 reasons why your foundation might be settling in your fine lines and wrinkles. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and took away something from it. If you learned anything or you're gonna implement one of these tips and tricks into your routine, let me know in the comment section below which one. Also, don't forget BK Beauty's Black Friday, Cyber Monday is happening. Sale is happening right now. 20 to 35% off site-wide, you guys. It's one of our best sales of the year. It goes through Cyber Monday. No code needed. Discount will apply at checkout, and everything is on sale. So you get the biggest savings when you look at the bundles because those are already discounted, and then you get that additional discount on top, and it's basically like 35% off the retail value of all those bundles. So everything will be listed and linked down below. I'll also list some of my favorite products that I didn't necessarily talk about in this video, but that I would recommend, like the loose powders, the natural foundations, and then of course all the brushes I used. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.